Hi and welcome to the Discover Virginia Beach Facebook group. I am your host, Joe Trahan. In addition to being a licensed realtor, I created a Facebook group to help you discover, define, and do exactly what it is you're looking for during your next trip, visit, or possible relocation to the Virginia Beach area. So today I'm coming back at you with another live stream highlighting one of my favorite topics, and that is road trips. Figuring out exactly what there is to do and what places to see and visit while you're driving to the Virginia Beach area. Now, before we get started, I want to just welcome everybody. If you're watching the live stream here today, and even if it's the live stream or the recap, go ahead and wave, send me a thumbs up. That way I know you got to check in for a little bit here, because this helps me know what type of content you guys want to see or be a part of. So without further ado, I'm going to get started with the top 10 places to visit on your way to Virginia Beach when you're driving. So the top 10 places to visit Virginia Beach when you're in a car. Now, I actually am using a really cool resource here today. It's provided by the Virginia Tourism Guide. It's the Virginia Travel Guide. If you'd like a copy of this is exactly a guide created by the state of Virginia to give you an idea of what's going on and what places to check out. So if you'd like a copy, just comment maps and I'll be sure to get that sent your way. So for all of our friends up north, if you're coming from the Vermont, New York, Connecticut, if you're coming from that side of the world, typically what you're going to anticipate as far as drive time goes is about an 8 to 12 hour drive time, depending on where you're coming from. Now, that's going to be one way, and that's going to be roughly anywhere between 500 to 800 miles of highway. Life is a highway, and that sure is a lot of highway to cover. So if you are heading from the northern part of the United States, coming down to visit Virginia Beach area, there's a few things I wanted to point out to you to help make your trip worthwhile, and that is going to be the northern part of Virginia. Now, as you come down the interstate, down the highway, you're going to bump into one of the coolest shopping hubs, in my opinion, of the area. And that's going to be in the Arlington, Fairfax, Manassas, and Alexandria area. Manassas is how you're supposed to say it. I'm just trying to read off this form here. And so what you'll be able to find there, right next to the DC area, is just a really cool area where you can shop, you can explore, and then as you're coming into Virginia, you'll actually probably pass Winchester and Leesburg, and there you'll be able to see some of the Blue Ridge Mountains as well as the Shenandoah Valley itself. So that's really cool. You'll see a little bit of nature. You'll also be able to stop at some and do some shopping if you're really into that. And as you head down north, you'll be able to pass through central Virginia, where you'll find towns like Charlottesville, Fredericksburg, and of course Richmond as you're heading down to visit the Virginia Beach area. And all of those places are really cool places to check off your list, to check off just seeing it and being a part of it. And we'll cover a little bit more here in a second, but let's talk about our friends coming from the south. Now, if you're coming from the Florida, Georgia, or Carolina area, your time ratio is going to be less than that of our friends up north, because there's just not as much distance from the south than there is the north, just because of how close you are up there, talking about our friends in Vermont. And if you're coming from the Florida and Georgia area, you're going to be on the kind of like in the top half of the suggested hours and miles. And so with that said, just keep that in mind. If you're coming from the Carolinas, you're going to be on the lower half. So it's typically about 8 to possibly up to 15 hours of travel time that you'll be expected if you're coming from southern part of the United States up to the Hampton Roads area. And you're going to be traveling anywhere between 250 miles to 650 miles. Like I said, depending on where you're at, if you're in the Carolinas, in your North Carolina, up near the Greensboro area, or further up north, then you're possibly going to not have as much drive time as, say, if you're coming from Tampa and Florida. So with that said, keep that in mind. And then of course you may think, okay, well, there's not really much to do because I'm coming from south. And once you hit the Virginia border, you're only like an hour drive from the Hampton Roads area. But one thing I would encourage you to check out is the Sandbridge area. The Sandbridge Beach drives, what I call it. And you don't drive on the beach necessarily, but it's this little strip of beach that's been well preserved. It's the Sandbridge Beach. There's not any hotel chains. They're mostly Verbos and locals and Airbnbs. And it's just this really interesting, cool drive. I mean, it really helps capture the essence of like a preserved beach town. And Sandbridge is one of the 10 beaches here in Virginia Beach, and you get to check that out on your drive from the south. Don't worry, all my Western wild friends, I got you covered. So if you're heading from the Midwest and the other half of the U.S. Closest to the East Coast, you're probably going to be within that 17 to 20 hour of drive time and around 800 to 1,500 miles of drive time. However, if you're coming from, let's say, California or like, in the bottom of Texas, near Amarillo, or you're in West Texas, you're going to be having to drive a lot. More time in the car. It's around 36 hours of possible drive time, 17 hours to 36 hours of drive time, just depending on your route and stuff. And you're going to be probably driving around 800 to 3,000 miles. And that is a lot of miles, especially if you're coming from the West Coast. It might be better to drive, but if you're looking for that West Coast drive, that's kind of the average that we're looking at here for miles in drive time. Now, when you get into Virginia, there's a few things you're going to want to keep in mind, because if you are driving, you're going to want to be focused on getting your gas tank full. And unless you're rocking an electric vehicle, the gas is still prevalent. There are charging stations, of course. If you have an electric vehicle, you have your own, probably up to date on where your charging stations are. But if not, check your user manual or, whatever you electric car folks have, and you'll be able to get an idea of that. All my gas folks out there, including myself, with my old vintage Mustang, you're going to want to be checking out the top gas stations as far as the number of available gas stations. It's going to be Exxon, Mobil, Shell, and Citgo. Now, these have the most gas stations. They're not the best. They're just the most frequent that you'll see. It's the largest gas station, as far as the number of gas stations available. Exxon Mobil has the most, with 696 locations across almost 300 cities in Virginia. And then Shell has 376 gas stations. Citgo has 270 locations in Virginia, not including all of the states you'll be crossing. This is just once you get into Virginia area. Now, that's for my West Coast folks, and that's for everybody with gas vehicles. And let's talk about moving into our next segment, what type of state parks you can anticipate traveling along and visiting. So if you're coming from the north, you're definitely going to be able to check out a few interesting monuments, like in the Arlington, Fairfax area, lots of Civil War monuments and historical grave sites and just places to go and honor those who've served our country. Now, if you are looking for specific state parks in that area, a few of them include the Mason Neck State Park. The other includes the Leosvania State Park. And let's go one more for good measure. The last one is the Sky Meadow State Park. That's going to be if you're coming up from north and you want to stop by a state park, definitely check out one of those. If you are coming from the south, yes, there are still state parks. There's just fewer. The one of them you're going to want to check out is the Occoneechee State Park. I'm not saying it with confidence because I'm probably butchering that name. Just look it up in the guide if you want the map. Comment map. I'll send you the map and you can look at the exact spelling. The other is going to be the Chippeways Plantation. That's going to be further up in the Hampton Roads area, further up north towards Jamestown. And then if you are coming right along doing the Sandbridge Drive, then you're going to be able to stop and see False Cape State Park. All great state parks. Virginia takes great pride as one of the first English-founded colonies, here as far as our history goes. And, they've done a lot to preserve it. So it's really cool. And if you're coming from the West, there are tons of state parks to check out because most of Western Virginia is like West Virginia. Country Road, Take Me Home. Can't sing it because although I would blow you with my amazing voice, can't copy trademark songs and whatnot. Demonetization, I guess. I don't know. That's the excuse I'll use. But you'll be able to check out the Breaks Interstate, the Hungry Mother. These are just some really fun names, which is why I have these highlighted. And the other last one is going to be the Fairy Stone. I don't know why I'm chuckling at all these. They're just funny to me. So with that said, those are all the state parks you can visit depending on which direction you're coming from. And that moves us into our next section of what to consider when you are driving. And that's going to be like the top cities to visit. So for Northerners, you got Arlington, Manassas area. For our Southerners, you have the Sandbridge Beach Drive. And then you are so close to the Hampton Roads Hub, which if you're coming to Virginia Beach, you're going to be a part of anyway. So that's going to be for our Southerners. And for our Westerners who have if you're doing that grueling drive and traveling all those miles, it is so worth it to check out the Blue Ridge Highland area, as well as the Roanoke area for Civil War and history, and just appreciating what the story of Virginia is about. There's so many interesting stories, and that's a great place to check them out. Now, moving on to our next segment, we have the most scenic drives. And if you're looking for, if you're hanging out with somebody like my grandfather, who is a truck driver, been on the road a long time, he really appreciates a good drive. Space and visibility are his best friends, and he also enjoys checking out, all the places to stop and see, all the bridges, all the roads, all the scenic drives. So if you got a grandpa like me in your life, or maybe you are the grandpa, not my life, but someone else's, then you're definitely going to want to check out the Eastern Shore Drive. Now, those are for our Northerners. If you are coming from south or west, you can definitely do it, but it's going to add a tremendous amount of time and mileage to your trip. But this is mostly for our Northerners. If you're coming down from like the Delaware area or Rhode Island area, you can actually head along the Eastern Shore, and it's just this little sliver. It's like an island, essentially. It's not the geographical term. I'm butchering that, but it's essentially, I call a little piece of paradise that you can drive down. Just keep in mind, friendly reminder, there is a ginormous toll road with this. I think it's almost $35 now. If you drive there and back within 24 hours, it's like a flat 35. But if you go there and stay at least a day or two and come back, it'll charge you again another $25, $35. So it's about a $50 commitment. Just plan on committing $50 to that with the toll road, because it literally is stretched across, water. It's a bridge built on water to help connect that little sliver of paradise, the little island, of the Eastern Shore from the Hampton Roads area. So that's definitely something really cool to check out if you're looking for a scenic drive. The other scenic drive, if you're not really into spending extra money on tolls and whatnot, and you're coming from the west, then you can check out the Blue Ridge Mountains or the Shenandoah Valley. Shenandoah Valley is closer up north, so if you're coming from the north, great. If you're coming more from the west, the Blue Ridge Mountains are going to be your friends. And then checking out places like Roanoke, Lynchburg, and if you're into that kind of thing. And then as you head across, you'll end up either going through Suffolk, which is a super cool country drive, or you'll be coming through Richmond, and there's just a lot of places to see there. Now, as we head into our last segment here, I want to preface this with, for those of you who don't know, I came from Texas. In my brainwashed view of the world, one of the best states in the world, right? Of course, yeah. Everyone knows Texas. It's iconic. It's great. And one of the trademarks of Texas that I love touting and bragging about is the formation of one of the, in my opinion, best gas station chains ever to existed. It's been covered on tons of YouTube channels, tons of travel guides, and it is the gas station Bucky's. Now, unfortunately, there's not a Bucky's here yet. Although they are building a Bucky's in the New Kent area, all you Williamsburg folks and Hampton Roads folks can finally experience it for yourself here in the next couple of years. But until then, if you are traveling from up north, I'm sorry, I don't believe there's a Bucky's anywhere. You probably have things like Sheetz and Wawa, which are going to be in the top 3 categories along with Bucky's. Bucky's, Sheetz, and Wawa. Let me know in the comment section below, what is your preferred gas station? I would love to know from you maybe what stands out to you, because I probably could do a whole nother video series about the best and worst gas stations. If you're into that kind of thing for traveling in cars, it's super important to have a clean place to use the restroom, especially with my now pregnant wife. It's always been a must, but now it's like a must have times 10. because in addition to feeling uncomfortable, then I have to hear about it and also feel uncomfortable myself. If it's like one of those, sketchy bathroom situations, you got to get the key from the person and, someone might be in there and the door's too heavy or is it stuck? You've been there. The floors are sticky. I don't want to get into it, but you know what a bad gas station looks like. But let me tell you what the best gas stations look like, what the best rest stop areas look like. That's going to be places like Bucky's, places that have multiple gas pumps, places that have multiple snacks and drink options, places that are, very proud of the services and the hospitality that they offer their travelers from the faraway lands of Western United States. I'm talking about all my friends on the West Coast here. It's just really cool. And if you're from the South, you're probably going to be more familiar with like Wawa, which is a good alternative. I wouldn't say it's the best. Feel free to roast me in the comment section or whatnot, but it's not the best. Bucky's is definitely in the top 3. And those are going to be your 3 gas stations you're going to want to keep an eye out for an experience to help elevate and really just exponentially increase your drive to the Virginia Beach area. And with that said, that concludes our live stream today. I appreciate everyone joining in. If you'd like a copy of the guide, of the map, of the resource of where all of the rest stops, highways, and places to check out in Virginia are, you can find that on the Virginia tourism website, or you can just comment map in the comment section below and I'd love to send it your way. Thank you again for tuning in, and I hope to catch you all in the next episode. Until then, I'll talk to you later. Bye for now.